Hello, rockers, groupies, and everything in between. I am Jack the Punk King here at my friend Freon's house.
Hello.
Tonight we're having an 80s metal talk discussion. He's like the king of 80s metal. He knows everything there is to know almost about hair metal, glam metal, and just everything from the 80s. That's awesome. He's being honest.
Sure.
Alright, so if you hear any noises throughout this video, it's either my phone or the dog in the background. It's his dog.
Jay.
Oh, it actually worked. Anyway, so tell us your first metal band from the 80s that you enjoyed. Give us an overview of how 80s metal evolved from 1978 all the way to 1990.
I'd have to say it probably started with the new wave of British metal when Judas Priest hit the scene, and then Iron Maiden and Def Leppard and Motorhead and Saxon and Angel Witch and all those guys came in.
Alright.
And then they kind of took over for a while, and then, you know, about around 1984 when glam metal like Poison and Bon Jovi, those bands came out and they kind of finished out the 80s, and then grunge came in and just killed it.
I am completely unbiased on this show, so I will keep a straight face no matter what. So anyway, tell us, what is your, you are, like me, a guitarist, a very good guitarist that focuses more on the 80s music. Give me a description of your more inspiring bands from that time period.
Well, given Iron Maiden, definitely. They've inspired many bands with their music. Probably Metallica, I'd have to say. AC/DC is a given. Black Sabbath, even though they're kind of 70s, but you know they went through the 80s too. I don't know many bands I would say it, but I would definitely say Def Leppard's a huge, especially with guitars, because they were well known for that. Before they went popular with their pop music. And that's about it I can think of really off the top of my head.
Alright.
Halloween, possibly, because they're very creative.
What subgenre of metal that came out of the 80s would you say is the most successful from that time period?
Probably glam.
Glam metal, you say?
Well, it's a cross between thrash and glam because both of those kind of lived after the 80s. I mean, some new wave British metal bands stayed, but the ones I know of. And I'd probably have to say glam, though, because, I mean, those bands are still touring and still doing small arenas. Even though they don't make any albums anymore, they still do that.
Alright. Now, give us a quick overview in your opinion of Iron Maiden. And quick side note, if anyone watching this show either A, does not know who Iron Maiden is, go hit your parents in the face with a shovel for not letting you know what that is, and go look that up, because that's a pretty good band. If you just look behind us, you'll see the awesomeness that is Iron Maiden just behind us.
Yeah, I'm not a fan at all. No.
Also, if you don't like Iron Maiden, I will completely respect your decision to be a pussy. So this show, you can already tell from the videos that I have done, is focused more on the rock side of music from nowadays back to where we started, where we first talked about how grunge had affected music and how blues has affected everything. Tonight will be more on the 80s, which is about... It's probably the time period that most bands came out. It was the golden age of where you could just gig and you could end up famous. It's not like now where you have YouTube and Facebook and if there's still some people on MySpace still surviving, and yeah, but it was the golden time where you had cassette players, you had Charvel guitars, you had just really metal and just long hair. Look at this man's hair. This man's hair just defied the 80s. He looks like he's from the 80s. That's not a bad thing.
I wish it was more brushed, but it's not. No.
Yeah. Anyway, now, sir, could you, in your best narration voice, tell us what you love about the 80s metal music that still survives today, and what you hate that has possibly bands that have fallen from the pedestals that we had put them on, possibly bands that have sold out in modern days, or possibly bands that are just together anymore due to lack of attention, death in the band, or arguments.
Well, first I want to get back to you because you were asking me about what I thought about Iron Maiden, and you didn't ever let me say it. And real quick, as a quick summary, they're a great band. I love that they've evolved, especially when Bruce Dickinson joined and did the Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave, all those albums with them, and they still keep making great records. They still keep making at least 3 singles on each album, at least, you know. But now to the recent question you just asked. I guess the biggest disappointments would be, well, it's not a band, but Michael Jackson. He's the biggest disappointment in my opinion of the 80s. He shouldn't have. I can't stand it. I don't know how he's so popular, really. Bands that, you know, I wish to see, as opposed to still doing music, I wish Cinderella would come out with a new album, but they can't because of like record deals or some stupid thing like that. The highest of 80s, I guess, would, or another one would be Metallica. I'm very disappointed in them because they went from, you know, doing something like Ride Lightning and doing stuff like Lulu with Lou Reed, and now they're Justin Bieber fans supposedly just because he said they were great, you know. And yeah, that's all I can think of right now.
Now, give me how you feel about bands that have made it. What you loved most about that time.
The 80s?
Yes.
Well, Iron Maiden, obviously, they never lost their touch. They've always kept their music going. They never stopped. You know, I mean, they never changed direction, really. I mean, they had synthesizers, but, you know, it would end up being a great change, you know. Def Leppard, definitely. I mean, a lot of people don't like them, especially after when they turn towards the pop side of music. But, I mean, they're still great. They still made music until when Steve Clark died, I mean. Bon Jovi, they're still out there. I mean, you know, they're still doing great, and I still hope they keep doing more records and stuff. Manowar, there's another great band right there. Their singer's just a flawless singer. He's just a great guy, you know. And their guitarist, Carl Logan, he's great. You know, he's been playing with them, and he can play everything note for note. And I hope they just keep making records and keep doing what they're doing. I can't think of any other bands particularly at the moment. Those are the ones I've... Megadeth, obviously. There's a great band right there. I mean, and a lot of people I know, they said Super Collider was a bad album. In my opinion, it was much better than everything else that I've heard so recently. It's a great album all around.
How would you compare, if you could take Dave Mustaine, who, if you don't know, look him up again, is the lead singer of Megadeth. If you could take Dave Mustaine from the Rest in Peace era to Super Collider era, which would you prefer? Now remember, in the time span that has happened, Dave has gone through at least 2 surgeries, rehab I think at least twice,
Vocal lessons. I heard
vocal lessons, vocal reconstruction, which is a very hard thing to do. I will give Megadeth and Dave Mustaine a plug right now. comparing them to Metallica is a very thing. It's kind of a, I call it, and one of our friends, his name's Austin McCoy, will agree with me. We call it a metal hate crime, because he hates it, and I actually somewhat agree with him when people try to compare them, because they are two different versions of thrash metal. But
thrash metal.
But they are both thrash metal.
And Megadeth came from Metallica, basically. So.
But there's one thing that I have more respect for Megadeth than Metallica, besides the reasons that you had previously listed. When Dave Mustaine, his voice went out, and he had to get reconstruction surgery, but he still had the Big Four tour, he went on the tour. He did the shows. He sounded like Mickey Mouse, but he did the shows. It was awesome. I will give that band and that man, I will be a fan of them probably till the end of their days. And I hope that you would agree with me on that. That's one thing that I can definitely prefer over Metallica for that.
Comparing, I say for guitar-wise, Rust in Peace era, because that was when he sounded the best. With Hangar 18, Holy Wars,
Tornado Souls.
Well, Marty played the guitar solo on that one, but I'm tired of playing guitar solos and playing the riffs and stuff. Vocally though, Super Collider, because his voice is deeper, it's heavier, it suits the band right now, especially with Chris Broderick now on guitars with him, and he has Sean back in the band and David Ellison back, So it's either way for just those two, guitars and lyrically. Rest in Peace guitars lyrically or vocally is Super Collider.
All right. I think that's a very good statement. I agree 100% with that. But there's one thing that, in my opinion, as a artist and as a fan of Megadeth, I have listened to their albums in between the time period, and there are albums that I do enjoy. Now, do I think they're better? It depends on the album. Like, album 13 was a pretty good album, and it's right up there with Super Collider. My personal favorite album by Megadeth, besides Rust in Peace, is Euthanasia. Endgame is a very good one.
Oh, yes.
The System Has Failed is a very good album. Now, I'd like to talk to you about a topic.
Endgame is, oh my gosh, it's such a great album.
Yes.
That was Chris Broderick's first album. Oh my gosh, it blew my mind.
With music, and we'll do it in this video, and I'm going to do a later video on this to elaborate on everything that I can think of and contribute to this. Politics and music. Now, if you listen to some of Megadeth's songs and other bands, but I'm going to primarily use Megadeth as the subject, you can hear that there is at least a little bit of political symbolism in there. There's some religious symbolism, but we'll stick with the political for now. Do you think politics should stay out of music, or do you think it is a good idea to use music to spread your ideas and to spread your thoughts of politics to the people?
I say it depends on what the politics are doing at that time. Like, if they're doing something stupid and to all the stoners out there, I'm sorry for saying this, I'm not a stoner, so, legalizing marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to write a song about that and you're against it, that wouldn't be something really necessary to write about. I mean, it's something that, people like me wouldn't want to approve of or something. But then again, there's songs that would be appropriate to write about, the war in Afghanistan,
mm-hmm.
something like that, or, the Cold War, so, stuff that's going on that's really, really big, it just depends on what the situation is and how big it is and if it's necessary enough to put into a song and if people will agree with it or disagree with it.
I agree with you on that. I think politics should definitely, music should be able to be a way to express your views on politics. I also think that there are some subjects that you should not write about because the amount of people and feedback will be there, but it'll be very little, and it's very diminishing to your cause sometimes, and sometimes it's actually more a negative effect on what you're trying to do than a positive effect. I think songs that I'm going to drift away for just a second. Anarchy. It's certainly drifting away because Megadeth did do a cover of Anarchist by the Sex Pistols.
Anarchy in the UK.
Anarchy in the UK.
Which they won't play live anymore.
I think that anarchy in itself is an idea that being expressed musically is okay. Anarchy in itself, too, in a point, is okay, but there's always a breaking point for everything, and there should always be a cap when you get to that point. Like, burning down churches is too far.
That is way too far, in my opinion. I don't care how bad religion is. I mean, if you're burning churches, you're just not only are you, being bad to, religion. I mean, you're destroying other people's property.
Yeah.
And you're destroying, it's just you're destroying people's, what their lives are based on. These people that actually do good and go to church and treat people right. The good Christians, I should say, not the ones that are just in it for the money and stuff. And I just had to say that because I think burning churches is just one of the worst things you can do as a human being. Burning anything, I should say, any building.
I agree with you on that. I do think that there are times when you do need to do things to make a point across, like rioting. That I would prefer to see a riot in a town than I would prefer to see a church being burnt down. Not because, even if you don't believe in that religion, you are offending the people who do, and even if you hate them with every fiber and being of your soul, at least give those people the right to have their religion.
And something that they can live off of that won't turn against them,
Yes. Now, there are points when religious folks do take it too far.
Yes, I do agree.
There are churches that take it too far, and they do need to be shown what is good and what is not good.
But burning them is
Burning them, I don't think, is the answer. But if you are breaking out that with a different riot, that may be an answer that I would rather see. I remember a few years ago, if anyone from our area should remember this too, I think it was about a year ago. We're in like the middle of Michigan. We're in between Lansing and Flint. We live in the small towns that no one's ever heard about. We had a soldier who was from our school. We're both from the same high school, and he had graduated. What was it, a year before? 2 years before? Maybe. I think it was it was recent. It was like a year or two, no more than 3, I think. And he died
in battle.
And they had his funeral at the school. And what had happened is a church had protested at his funeral. That is going too far. I don't care what religion you are. Do not protest at a funeral. That is disrespectful
to the person and the people that are there for that person that passed away.
That is horrible. I know in America, even though it seems like we're losing our constitutional rights day and day,
and we have freedoms.
We have the right to protest peacefully, but that should just be a courtesy thing. You don't protest at a funeral, especially even if it's for something you think that is wrong. Do not protest at a funeral for it. Protest somewhere else. Protest in front of the courthouse. Don't protest at a funeral.
And going back to the riot thing, I think more of going on strike is better than going on a riot, because riots, you could end up, hurting somebody or destroying somebody's property. See, I'm one that doesn't believe in destroying people's personal property, especially on purpose. And
sorry, it's fine. I can edit it out. Anyway, continue what you were saying.
And and I'm one who doesn't believe in personal property damage. I mean, you could destroy somebody's car, or somebody's part of somebody's business building or something. So riots kind of go a little too far. I mean, especially, you could end up hurting somebody or killing somebody, and you could, go to jail for the rest of your life just for something you disagree with, So if you're gonna riot, make sure it's not super violent, like they show in the movies where there's explosions and cars flipped over. And
now, with this sensitive subject of politics and music, we have it to a point where in America, I don't care what president it is when anyone sees this. Right now we have President Obama, and I don't care what you think of the president or any president we've had. When this is America. Our founding fathers may have been slightly corrupted, but they had a good idea. Freedom and equality to all, no matter what your religion, race, or anything about you. And that is a good idea. Now, when you are president and you think you can take those ideas from us, that is something you should not do, because you will cause a civil war. I hope whoever is watching this, I hope for your viewing entertainment that you at least agree with me to a point. Our rights should not be taken away, no matter what the right is. We have those rights because they were given to us. Our ancestors fought and died for those rights. And we still fight for those rights. We've fought for those rights since we became a nation. This is our country. We should keep it the way it is. We have our problems. We have our debt. Sure, we're not perfect, but we're the U.S. Sometimes we show our guns a little too much, but don't take our rights away. Back to the 80s.
Yeah, we kind of got
we got a little off topic, but
sorry about that.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about Dokken.
Yes.
Because I heard I was watching this video, and it was this guy doing Shining impersonations, and he did George Lynch, which is the guitar player.
Yeah, well, he's guitar tech now, but he's guitar player.
Give me an overview of Dokken.
They're actually one of the best glam metal bands I've ever heard in my life. I never heard of them up until recently, when I saw the third Nightmare on Elm Street, and they did the song for that movie. And I bought a couple of their albums, and they're great. George Lynch can play guitar riffs beyond, comprehension. Don Dokken's vocals are just amazing. Their songs are just, their songs just hit you right here sometimes. And if you've never heard of them, look them up. They have some great songs. I can't really think of a place to start. Just type in Dokken and think of an album name if you can or something, and just go.
Now give me, in your best definition that you can do, what is glam metal?
See,
comparing it to hair metal.
I say glam metal is when the bands are actually wearing makeup and they wear they try to look like girls, and they do their music. Hair metal, in my opinion, is where they just wear the jeans and the jean jackets, and they have long hair and they don't have any makeup. So I would consider Def Leppard hair metal, not glam metal, because they never wore makeup. They never dressed like girls. They just had long hair. But I would consider like Cinderella, glam metal, even though I don't want to because they're one of my favorite bands. And Motley Crue and Poison, you know, the LA bands especially, those were glam metal bands. And then, so yeah, those are my distinct. I mean, the music's usually pretty much the same. They have the ballads and the creative hoofs and stuff. But as opposed to my opinions of the looks is what I classify the two.
Right. Now, before we end this video, I'd like to end it on a topic that most metal guitarists can agree upon. Tell me, in your best opinion, what you think of Randy Rhoads, the former guitar player for Ozzy Osbourne. May he rest in peace.
Randy Rhoads is he was great. He was really great with Ozzy. Crazy Train's one of the best. It's one of the greatest riffs in the history of guitar playing. I mean, everybody knows that. Even if you're not an Ozzy fan, if you just hear the song on the radio, you think, "Oh wow, it's a cool guitar riff." Mm-hmm. That's how actually I discovered Ozzy, was that song. He was very talented with technique, and he could play guitar solos and stuff like that. I mean, I have a CD with him playing with Ozzy Paranoid Live, and it was about as awesome as hearing him play with Black Sabbath or when he did with Zakk Wylde in later years.
Now, before Randy was in Ozzy, he was in another band called Quiet Riot, which is another 80s metal band. Very good metal band. I like a couple of songs by them. Tell me what you think about the dying difference between Randy and after Randy with Quiet Riot.
I don't think I've actually heard any of his songs with them. I don't know I'm not sure if Metal Health has them or not. But, I'm probably guessing he's as good as the guitar player that's joined them afterwards, both guitar players are great in general. I love Quiet Riot, and Randy Rhoads is awesome as a guitar player in general.
Well, this has been the 80s edition of Jack the Punk King Show. Tune in to me next time where I talk about whatever you tell me to. Have a nice night. And thank you for being on the show with us, Chris.
You're welcome.